You do not need followers in order for people to see your content consistently. That is a huge benefit to Pinterest.
Have you been curious about Pinterest and wondered if it could be a really effective marketing platform for your business, but felt like it was really overwhelming, a little bit confusing? Well, today you're in luck because we have one of the greatest experts that Pinterest has ever seen. Today we have Heather Farris, and she's one of only 6 global experts that Pinterest brought on, and she actually piloted the program for Pinterest education. She knows her stuff when it comes to Pinterest, how to create the pins, how to understand it as a marketing tool, and she's going to give us a huge deep dive into how to use the platform effectively, how to do research so that it can help drive sales and traffic to your business. So get ready to learn a ton. Classes in session with Heather Farris. Welcome to Millionaire University, Heather. I am really excited about what we're going to talk about today and feel a little humbled. Like, you are the expert of all experts in your field. So we're going to have such an incredible conversation about Pinterest. Tell everybody what you just told me. Basically introduce yourself and how incredibly qualified you are to have this conversation with me today.
So my name is Heather Farris. I've been running a Pinterest business for 9 years. I started as a mommy blogger 9 years ago, and it just kind of morphed into me running Pinterest marketing strategies for clients because I was really good at it. I have a boutique Pinterest agency. We have a small amount of clients, very hands-on, and then I run an education company alongside it. So I teach people how to do Pinterest marketing for their own businesses. And I've been doing this for quite a while. A lot of people will know me from YouTube if they've watched any amount of Pinterest marketing videos because I publish there weekly, on a good week, weekly. And I'm a Pinterest educator. I'm one of 6 Pinterest educators. I piloted the program last year and helped to launch it. And I'm just super proud of the work that I'm doing around the internet on Pinterest and making it a legitimate platform for people to put their businesses on.
That's amazing. And I'm doing math because I hired a Pinterest specialist probably 9 or 10 years ago. So when you say that, you are one of 6 global Pinterest educators through the actual Pinterest platform, a program you said you piloted. I just want to point that out to people that it's not like you have been there from the start of Pinterest, you know, and it doesn't require you to be ground level of a brand new platform to master it, be really successful at it, and help other people with it. So I love that because 9 years is a long time, but it's not that long to be where you are right now. So it shows that you have really hustled and worked, and I've for sure watched some of your YouTube videos. So that's incredible, amazing. I'm so excited to learn from you today. I think Pinterest tends to be one of those things that people think is really hard, and that can be a benefit to people who specialize and offer that as a service because people don't want to even hassle with it. But then when I got into it a little more, I was like, this is not difficult. It's time. But even then, once you get a flow going, it's not the hardest thing ever, but we tend to look at it as rocket science. So let's maybe do some kind of a masterclass on Pinterest marketing and how that works, starting wherever you want to. I mean, for your business, you were a mommy blogger, so you started using it, I'm assuming, to drive traffic to your blog. Do we still have to have blogs for Pinterest to be effective? Tell me how people are using it right now to drive traffic to their business.
That's a great question. So Pinterest users are accustomed to reading blogs, and they are blog readers. But it has become, since 2019, it has become a shopping platform as well. So it's not necessary. It really just depends on your strategy and what you have going on in your business. Now, I will say, any marketing platform, what you have on the other end, so on your website, to help convert people is important. So if you're not running a blog and you're not like educating people on whatever you do and building that trust with them, then whatever trust building you have in there for that conversion mechanism to happen is super important. So I just want to make sure everyone, understands that, while Pinterest is a traffic driver, it's not a magic bullet for conversion. And neither is Instagram and TikTok and YouTube or any of them. So your website is important. So I will say, if you don't have a blog, it's going to probably be a little bit of an uphill push for a while to get people converting, depending on what you're doing. Now, you can always run ads, no blog required. You could run ads to landing pages, to product pages, to sales funnels, whatever you want to do. You could also just run organic strategy to e-commerce stores. So to product listings and collection pages. I've had everyone in between, become successful with their Pinterest marketing in that way. And I also want you to define what success is for you. One of my clients right now, I was actually just working on them when you popped into the recording room. They just want brand awareness. because they're such a high ticket product seller that their average cost of product is anywhere from like $500 to $7,000. So for them, brand awareness is really important, but for someone else, actual like lead conversions to their email list or conversions in that checkout cart is important. So I think you need to set your goals as well with any platform. So as we dive into today's conversation, just keep those things in mind if you're listening.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you introducing that. And even just for everybody listening, it doesn't necessarily matter what type of business you have. I'm curious to know if you think there are any industries or fields that you wouldn't necessarily recommend Pinterest that don't tend to convert well. But I love that you're talking about success really is going to be different for everyone, and it depends on what your goal is. And there are so many different ways that you can use Pinterest as the visibility platform, as a way to drive traffic, even to other platforms. Like I remember following someone a while ago who treated Pinterest kind of like a search engine, because it is in many ways, and then driving traffic to her Instagram because she had so much nurture content rather than a blog. And she knew that if they came there, they would convert to a sale. So being able to differentiate what your customer journey is really important. And so I'm glad you clarified that, because anybody listening, when we talk about marketing, anytime when we have experts like you on here, we do need to remember that you cannot sell trash. Like you can't sell garbage products. You can't sell bad offers. So you cannot blame. And I think a lot of people do this with marketing on any platform. Like you said, they blame, oh, Instagram just sucks, or I don't know how to master the algorithm. And it's like, well, you might actually be getting great visibility, but you don't have a good thing to sell. So I love that. There's so many different lanes that we can go down here. So to my question, are there industries that tend to perform maybe not quite as well, or do you see it working for pretty much anything?
It depends on what the definition of working is again. So there are industries that Pinterest they don't like. Anything that's adult themed, anything that is body shaming of any kind. So if you're selling like extreme weight loss stuff, it's probably not going to work. Anything that's restricted as far as like age. So if you promote alcohol, that's fine, but it can only be, especially if you're advertising to people over 21. But like CBD, people in the CBD industry have a really hard time because it's equated with marijuana. And they don't do anything that would be considered illegal, even though it's legal on a state by state level in a lot of places. It's still federally illegal. So they kind of go by that guideline. Now, there are industries that are smaller that have a harder time getting started. And one of the most recent ones I've noticed is in the animal space. I have a few students in my program who are in the animal space, and they have blogs on animals. And it's a very small niche on Pinterest. So one thing that you can do before you get started is just see if your competitors are on the platform. And if they are, that could be a good chance for you to at least park your content there, create a profile, put your most successful pillar content on your profile. But you can also go to audience insights, and you can see per niche, like the size and, what people are doing there, like how much affinity there is for the platform. And you can see this for all of Pinterest. And then if you have a profile and you've been active, you can actually see this month by month basis for your users as well, what categories of interest they're the most interested in. So there's definitely potential, I think, for a lot of niches. There's 24 established, anything from cars to anime to art, architecture, and then all of the big ones: weddings, food, fashion, beauty, you name it, home decor.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like any platform. Make sure your people are actually there. It's not necessarily that the platform won't do its thing. It's make sure that the users who are going to buy, read, whatever, convert are really hanging out on that platform, and that there's enough other content. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we don't want to have oversaturation, but at the same time, if there are a lot of other people posting that, if that's kind of a platform where a lot of users have come, it's only to your benefit that there are other creators there too, because it just means we've pulled in an audience. So
we've drawn an audience in.
Yeah, that's really smart and good to know, because we're starting like a dog TikTok account, and Pinterest might not be like the ideal spot for it right now, or we can help grow that niche a little bit stronger. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's break this down, because it is, like I said, kind of overwhelming for people to understand all the different pieces of Pinterest. So you mentioned like we can do this direct to product. I know that there's a lot of little things and nuances that have changed over the years where it was like, oh, you can't drive pins to affiliate links. Now you kind of can. Is that still the case?
You can, absolutely. Amazon, Rakuten, and Like to Know It. I think that's called something else now. Those are 3 of the vetted, like approved affiliate programs. They don't care if you link to those. You can even tag affiliate products in pins these days. That's like a sub Pinterest feature that you can play with. But yeah, you can put links to affiliate programs. I will say you do need to disclose in the description.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just to give everybody reference, there's some people who will literally just exclusively do that. They'll have an Amazon store and they will create pins and they will drive those pins directly to that storefront, directly to some of those like bundles and things that they've curated. And I only discovered that as a consumer as I was scrolling once I clicked on Pinterest ad and it went straight to the Amazon site. And I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. So, and I think it can even be a placement for Amazon ads to run right on Pinterest or something like that. Is that correct?
They do have an integration with Pinterest now and ads. So I believe from your Amazon store pushing to Pinterest, there's a way to push ads out. I don't have any Amazon sellers. I've never specialized in Amazon specifically. So I don't have any. This is one small piece of the Pinterest puzzle I don't have any eyes on.
Yeah. Well, and it's probably not.
I'm not starting an Amazon store.
No. It's probably not the most prevalent either. It's I think for some people, it might be like the simple way if you don't have a blog, if you don't have things to sell. But let's talk about those who do and maybe start in the product space first and what you need to consider to be successful utilizing Pinterest if you're selling physical products, if you have some kind of a Shopify store or something like that.
Okay, so Shopify stores have a bit of a leg up with Pinterest because Shopify and Pinterest, there's an app. Pinterest developed an app for Shopify. You can add the app to your Shopify store as long as your domain is more than 3 months old and your website's more than 9 months old, then you can add the catalog to Pinterest. It'll start importing to Pinterest daily for you. This also does a number of things. It automatically applies you for the verified merchant program. You want to make sure you have a few things in place. We can touch on that if you want. It also will place your Pinterest tag and claim your website for you. So those are steps that people with like WordPress websites will need to do manually. So there's no need for that. The Pinterest app does it all for Shopify sellers. Okay, so like the marketing component for Shopify sellers, it will put your catalog on Pinterest, but it's not pinning your products to Pinterest for you. You actually have to still do that.
So if I would do that, what does that look like? If they're putting your products on Pinterest, where would that show up if it's not being pinned?
In the shop tab on the platform. So let's say you sell like skincare products and you import your catalog today to Pinterest. Tomorrow, those catalog products will start showing up in the shop. So someone can go to Pinterest and they can search for, moisturizer for oily skin and hit enter. And then they can filter the results by a number of things. So they can see all pins, profiles, boards, videos, and products. The products is where those catalog pins are going to show up from your website. They're not going to be on your profile unless you physically put them there.
Okay. Are people engaging that way? Like, do users go and look just for products? So you're going to see sales just from that, even if you don't continue on? That's amazing. And that's a newer feature? Newish, maybe in the last couple of years?
So they introduced the shop tab on your profile in 2019. And then the filter is sometime between 2019 and 2021. We got that filter where you used to be able to filter like profiles, boards, pins. They added videos and products.
Cool.
So it's amazing. A number of years old.
Okay. So you have that option and then you go one further and you actually want to market it beyond just showing up as a product recommendation, because even that, you want to optimize your Shopify listing, I'm assuming, so it even comes up. Because they're connecting, if you have no keywords on your listing on Shopify, it's not going to show up in a Pinterest search.
So glad you brought this up because this is a bit of a crutch for Shopify sellers. A lot of people that come through my ecosystem, they are just not good with optimizing their listings. And I understand it's difficult to figure out how to do SEO for any website, much less an e-commerce site. So you have to optimize your product listing descriptions for Google and for Pinterest if you want those products to be ranked in any search for the listings. So if someone were to search for moisturizer for oily skin, you need to use keywords that are going to help that product to rank in search, not only on Google, but also on Pinterest. So you really do need to optimize your listing descriptions for more than like the 1 or 2 sentences that you're accustomed to putting there. And the whole listing description comes over to Pinterest. So you're not actually cut off on the amount of words like you are if you were just to post a Pinterest pin and write a description to a blog post. If you were to do like the blog post route, you get 500 characters. But for shops, it brings the entire description over. So if you want 4 or 5 paragraphs in your product listing description, you can do that.
Wow. That's cool. That's good to know. That's a hot tip that probably a lot of people don't realize and don't take the time. And I feel like nowadays too, like I love to bring AI into the conversation. If you're going to use it for nothing else, like you don't have an excuse anymore to say like, oh, I don't have the time to optimize every listing. Create some kind of formula, do the research, find some experts, plug in that data, optimize every single listing, copy paste. Like it's not that difficult anymore to have it done. But that leg up could be thousands of dollars in sales just from doing a few extra seconds of optimizing a listing. So that's cool. That's a lot more than 500 characters being able to, or 500 words. Was it 500 characters or 500 words? Okay. Yeah, that's even less. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. So beyond that, now that you've got, like, let's assume you've made it that far. Talk to us about Pinterest pin creation. We can still do it through the realm of like product creation. So is it enough just to create a pin, drop a picture of the shirt or the skincare? What goes into a really successful pin?
So I like to have product sellers do pins in multiple different ways. First, the white background photos that are going to come through your listing that you probably have in your store. They don't do as well as lifestyle imagery. Lifestyle imagery is king on Pinterest. Like your shelf behind you with the books and like the globe and everything. Like they like to see this because they want to see what the product is going to look like. The same with like it being on models. You should also do photos, especially if you sell clothing or purses or jewelry of any kind. Multiple skin colors, multiple body sizes. Because Pinterest is a very inclusive space. And they are really big on body types and being very inclusive of all body types and skin colors. So your listing should also reflect that. Be really inclusive if you can. Pinners love to see the products on bodies. It just is what it is. I do too. So I want to see it on what's going to look like on me.
Right. Would you optimize each pin with that too? Like if you're showing a variety of body types, and if it's hair products, like hair types, but let's just talk about body types, for example, do you want to optimize that? Like, is that kind of a no-no saying like, oh, this is for curvy people, but this one, depending on, it's okay that if the words can represent what's in the photo?
Yes. And it should all be led by your keyword research. So you should be doing keyword research in the Trends tool, Ads Manager, or the search bar and seeing what comes up. Because if I go to Pinterest right now and I look for a search for Pinterest, like for clothing, which I was just looking at clothing recently, like 2 days ago. And then I search into body types. It literally has them broken out, like different body types. And there is even a body type in there that is a person in a wheelchair. So like they're really, really inclusive in the different types of bodies that they are wanting. And then color palettes are also a thing. And then there's additional keywords like capsule, winter, fall, the year, 2025. So let the keywords guide you, but you can for sure use that language as well. So if that comes up, then use it.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Let's pause where we're talking about Pinterest, like formatting and creation. We're jumping around a little bit, but because you mentioned that using those search insights, you mentioned 3 different places you can do this. So let's kind of go back and explain this to people. Before even getting into pin creation, you want to have done keyword research to really know. Can you explain why, just from a marketing standpoint, why you're wanting to look that up first?
So 96% of all searches on Pinterest are unbranded. meaning they're not going there and searching for Nike sneakers. They're searching for white leather sneakers. And then whatever brand they connect with the most is the route that they're going to go down. But Pinterest is primarily a search engine. They have an engagement algorithm and they have a search algorithm. A lot of people will just start by engaging with stuff and see where the rabbit hole goes. But a lot of people just have something in mind. So they might be looking for, like, I've searched for Parisian autumn clothing a few days ago because I wanted to see, like, what do women in their mid-30s in Paris wear for fall. I just recently moved to Europe and I want to get out of, like, the jeans and t-shirt aesthetic.
American wardrobe.
Yes. So that's what I was looking for. So you really want to do your keyword research on Pinterest and figure out exactly what people are searching for related to your brand. And then you want to use those keywords in all of the places. So in your pins, in your boards, in your profile, and in your e-commerce listing descriptions.
Okay. So tell us again the places that you can go to do this, because it's nice. It's not just like there's only one tool. There's a few different ways for you to do that keyword research. So talk us through what some of those are.
You can use everything for free. You don't need to pay for a single third-party tool. It's just the Pinterest search bar is the first place. And there's a drop down. So it acts just like Google, with an autofill in the drop down. You can do the trends tool, which is my favorite. It's my personal favorite. There's two ways to use the trends tool. There's a basic search bar at the top, an autofill drop down, and then there's actually a table at the bottom with a bunch of filters. You can see what's growing, what's seasonal, what's going on this month, or yearly trends. You can search by interest or keyword or nothing at all. Just depends on what you have going on. And then the third and final tool is the ads manager, which is like you were going to build an ad. There's a keyword search bar in that. The ads manager is the only one that actually gives you search volume. So the trends tool gives you a sliding scale of like how popular it is, but it doesn't tell you like 100,000 searches a month. The ads manager does.
Yeah, that's what I've used when I've done Pinterest keyword research, and it's fun. And I will go in there and I will like create a list somewhere and it'll blow your mind. You'll think that you know what people are searching. And I can't say this enough from a marketing standpoint. It is so much harder than you think to get inside the mind of your buyer when you are the creator of the thing. You're so close to it that you have no idea. We've had so many people on the show who have said, oh yeah, the thing we thought was going to be our highest selling point ended up being like lower on the totem pole because this actually ended up matching with a totally different need and a different desire that people had. So thinking outside the box, you can just start with a simple search and you'll see some of those other suggestions. You'll be like, wait a minute, that is searched even more than the thing that I thought. And so I'll kind of categorize them by this is our most desirable keyword to use, and then go down from there just so that I'm tracking that and I actually know what's popular, not just what they're using, but what they're using more often.
And a really nice little hack, because most people don't know that they can do this. If you put your cursor at the top of the table when you're in the ads manager and drag and copy, you can actually pull out line by line the search volume with the keyword. And you can store this in a spreadsheet. And then you know when you go back and look at this later, oh, this was the most popular one. That way you're not wasting time going back and seeing what the volume was. And then I would just do this page by page. Some keyword searches will have 100 pages of keywords. And it's going to go from what's like super popular, is like 5 million plus searches, to like 0. So once you start getting down in the zeros with the misspellings and the weird phrasing, you can stop. But you can at least pull them out with the keyword volume if you copy and paste instead of just adding them to the list on the left.
Okay, good to know. So with that being said, when you mentioned like some of them are really high search, there's people who would say, and maybe you agree with this, like if you don't necessarily want to go and use the ones that are the most searched because you're just never going to show up in that sea, but do you still want to be using them?
Yeah, and most of the time you're actually going to end up using them anyways, because if it's like fall outfit is like 5 million plus searches a month, but then it's Parisian style fall outfits and that's like 1 to 2 million a month, you're going to end up using it anyways because it's going to be a long tail keyword instead of just the short tail. The short tail keywords are almost always the ones that have the highest search volume. You're going to end up using them because you really want to use long tail keywords anyways.
So you're saying like the words are still in it, even though you've added an extra qualifier word, you're still using it. So don't overthink it.
Pinterest
Don't
knows
worry.
too. The same way Google knows, Pinterest also knows.
Okay, cool. So you do your keyword research, you track some of those things, and then that will inform what should be on your pins, in your pin descriptions, things like that. So is there any other steps between doing keyword research and actually going to create pins that you suggest? Okay.
Yes, you have to create your Pinterest boards.
Okay.
So generally speaking, for e-commerce sellers and also for bloggers, if anyone's watching this and you're a content creator, your board strategy, generally how I did, it's based off the pillars that you have inside of your business. So if your business is beauty and skincare, then you probably already know what your boards should be based off your menu and your hierarchy and your menu on your website and your product categories on your website. So start there, do your keyword research for each product category. And this could also be blog category, and then kind of fan out. So I like to create things in clusters. So if it's like, if I sell beauty and skincare, instead of just creating one board that's like skincare for women, I also have skincare for women in their 30s to 40s, anti-aging skincare for oily skin, skincare for dry skin, for summer, for spring, for fall. Like, create clusters around the main product, because what people
those are all
searching
different
for,
boards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because what people are searching for is probably going to be different from coast to coast, from country to country. I'm learning that living over here, that there are certain things over here that people would never be looking for, that I look for in the US. So keep that in mind and let your keyword research guide you. Don't be afraid to create boards, even if it feels repetitive. Your boards are how your pins get indexed. So your board needs a good title. It needs a really good description. Max out your 500 character board description. And then you're going to go on creating pins. So don't create pins before your boards are done.
Okay. Good to know. So there's really no too many boards, right? Like, and the more the merrier. Before I forget to ask this question, because I know we're going to get into pin creation, when you create those pins, do you pin the same pin to multiple boards? Like, if it is relevant to each one, or are you you're continuing on this clustering where you're like, hey, we're only creating pins for that specific board. You're not reposting it across different boards?
No, repinning is just not a thing anymore. Pinterest does not care for you to repin. And they've said this over and over. Some people still see results from it, but it's harder to know which variation of that pin or which board that pin landed on actually resulted in the views, because they lump them all together. So if you repin the same image to 10 boards, you're only going to get one line item with all the data. So which pin on which board did all the work? That's harder to figure out. You can. There is a way to do it in page source, but unfortunately, you're going to have to dig through lines of code. So here's what I do. I prioritize the board topic, the keywords for the board topic, and the product, and I create multiple variations. I just wrote a sales email that's going to go out tomorrow about this exact thing. So you don't just hit publish once on a product, make one pin, and you're done. No, you're not done. You're far from done. You're just getting started. I have had blog posts that I regenerate pins for that I've been doing for years. And I had anywhere from 1 to 5 new pins going out every month for that one URL. So as long as it's a new image, that's really all Pinterest cares about, is it's a new image each time. So you could do an image in different templates. Although Pinterest is starting to lean more towards uniqueness. So if you have more brand photography, the better. But they do prefer new images, and you'll know if it's a new image if you post it to Pinterest and you get different stats. So if you do 5 templates with the same brand photo, you could do slightly different filters or slightly different edit. That's okay too.
Okay. But you're saying that kind of like the more variety you have, doing that too much might not necessarily help you as much. Having the same exact image with different text on it, like they still want to see a completely fresh look. That's what they still call it, like fresh pins are the most ideal always. So
I'm telling you, it is still fine. As far as I know today, still fine to use the same images. So if you have a library of 100 photos for one product, that would technically be 100 pins if you only use that image one time. I have never done that. I have always just reused the same imagery and just done new templates each time. And then you can use new keywords on the board. Now, back to your original question of like pin design and what I would suggest, because I didn't forget and your listeners probably didn't either. I recommend two different, like very different pin styles for e-commerce sellers. So one pin style is like, if you sell clothing, then, the model, no text on it, just an image with no text. And do another variation of that with an image with text on it. So like you would put text on the actual image and it would say like Parisian fall outfits for 2025. And then the other version would just be the model wearing the outfit. That's it. Do those and see which one gets you more engagement.
Because it's going to depend on product. Like there's suggestions, there's blueprints, there's not universal rules. It's really depending on what you sell, what your consumers prefer, even like the imagery that you have. Would you say, and this is getting nitty gritty, but even using the same model image and just seeing the difference between text and that same picture with no text?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Please do it.
And that's two different pictures according to Pinterest because they look similar but different, and it's going to classify them differently. You'll be able to track them differently and see what does better.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You can get crazy and toss a video in there too. And that's a third one.
Is video still performing really well? I know like all platforms, as video has gotten more popular, they push that out. Are there any other formats that do better than others, or is it kind of like just have a good variety?
A good variety.
Okay. Images are still doing well though. Like take the time.
Images are still the powerhouse.
Okay. Because it is a visual platform. It's not like a typical social media platform where you're just putting videos and entertaining people. It needs to drive somewhere. So I want to shift gears a little bit and still kind of talk about pin design, but even thinking about different goals, because we've talked about product-driven businesses, those who are wanting to use Pinterest to generate leads because maybe they're selling online programs, coaching. Do you feel like should people expect to see direct conversion from Pinterest, or is it the most useful if you're selling things like that to send to nurture pieces of content?
Both. I want you to do both. So where e-commerce should do text overlay and no text overlay, content creators should do blogs, funnels, opt-ins, products. Should mix it all in. I'm personally in this space as an educator. I sell education programs and services. I don't promote my services on Pinterest. That's another thing. But I promote blogs, YouTube videos, landing pages, and products. So I do all four. And I really think you should prioritize where you do your best conversion. So if you convert best in video, then put the YouTube video in a blog post and send the pin to the blog post or the YouTube video. If you convert best with short form video or whatever to a landing page, then do that. I personally embed the YouTube video into the blog post and send all my traffic to my website because I get to claim all of that engagement and traffic. And then, I am monetizing with display ads on my website. So I also make money from the traffic that goes to my site. And then I also always prioritize a lead magnet and digital products that I'm selling. So they could be templates, courses, my AI chatbot that I adore. All of that is always in the rotation as well.
And I think we were kind of talking about this before too, how the work isn't done just when you publish the blog post or publish the product on your Shopify store. It's really just beginning, and you really should be driving new pins to these things all the time. So you're just kind of finding fresh ways to drive new eyeballs, new traffic. And back in the day, it could just be like, oh, let's just go repin the pins that you already did 6 months ago. Now it's a matter of let's just kind of take from a template, create a new thing that is going to be geared towards, again, what are people searching for, right? We're not just sending a pin to be like, here's a blog post about this, or here's this offer. You're meeting them on their symptom. You're meeting them on their search level of what they might be out there looking for, and just putting out as many things as you can to drive to those different places, right?
Yes. And Pinterest is a full funnel platform. So just like we were talking to e-commerce sellers a little earlier, sending people to product pages, that's obviously the very bottom of the funnel where we're wanting a purchase event. But there are people on the platform searching for things like how to decorate my house because I don't know how, to like how to organize a garage. So they are looking for that kind of how-to content. And they're even like a step before that looking for like inspiration content just to like get a feel for even what they're looking for. So from awareness all the way down to purchase, people are in every phase of the customer journey on Pinterest. So using keywords depending on the content strategy you have or the product strategy that you have for the full funnel with your Pinterest pins is important.
Yeah. So obviously in marketing, when you have the sales funnel and it's your job to nurture them in different places where you can have entry points depending on, you're kind of just positioning it as if I have people who are already looking for the solution, they're already looking for a program, they're already looking for this, have content that's going to drive people there. But then also you still want to optimize within your back end on your funnel, right? Like, okay, I'm going to send some traffic to lead magnets. I want to make sure that I continue that. Just like early in the conversation, you're only as good as your product. You're only as good as your customer journey that you curate when you're selling other types of things that do have multi-steps. And so I'm even curious with your board setup, when you're in that education space, when you're selling digital offers, coaching, things like that, I think most of the time we're not going to see the most conversions just direct to offer. And you even mentioned before, you're not selling your higher ticket things direct from Pinterest. It's a nurture process. So when you organize boards, are you kind of doing that by levels of awareness and places in the funnel, or are you doing it more by topic? Like, how do you kind of organize?
It's a bit of a mix. So I have boards that are like Pinterest education, and I pin a lot of course material, pins that go to course material there. I also have boards that are like Pinterest schedulers, and it's a mix. It's a hybrid. So there's how-to content on there, but there's also like this how-to content links to affiliate products. And then I have another board specifically for Pinterest templates. If people are already searching Pinterest templates for Canva, they are already probably marketing on Pinterest. They know that they can get traffic from this platform. They probably have a business. Like, they're not just looking for that because it's fun. So I do have a board for a variety. There is like a heavier distribution for me towards that beginner focus of the customer journey, because I have noticed over the years that I get a lot of traffic to those articles. I have always prioritized all aspects of my business. I didn't always have a membership. I didn't always have a lot of education content, but I have had some. And I've just always included opt-ins, products, and blogs in the mix. And I've just noticed over the years that people just navigate towards the blogs. But that's where I do really good work. I can nurture people. They can see that I know what I'm talking about. They build trust with me. They then probably get into my YouTube videos and start binging that. And then they connect with me on another level. And then they eventually end up in my membership, which is a low ticket, easy yes. So it's just pay attention to what's working for you. Like, what is your best conversion? And let's prioritize sending pins there first.
Yeah. What do you do if you're kind of early into that and you don't necessarily know yet what your highest conversion place is going to be? Do you still recommend having pins that are going to go direct to an offer page, direct to like a low ticket digital product, something like that, even though you're not as established, just to kind of start to see what's going to convert better? Okay.
You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall in the beginning, and we all do it. It's a process we all kind of have to go through. I've had students actually do multiple iterations of businesses, and they've been in my program the entire time. And they just feel like they're in that spaghetti throwing at the wall phase for a while until they finally find something that hits. I was on a coaching call today with my group, and 1 year ago, a woman joined a membership, and she had had some success prior to coming to me. That's why she came to me. And for the last year, we've been going back and forth on these coaching calls of like, okay, well, the content is working, but what can we do to get sales going? And she's not given up. And I think that's one of the great things about doing the work that's just kind of boring is, it's not sexy. Pinterest is fairly easy to do. It's very skill based. But over the years, she's really built her Pinterest skill. And she's also learned a lot about her business and her audience. And she's tested a lot of different offers. And finally, she's landed on one that's working. And she told me today she's selling, 1 or 2 of her digital products daily. And it's not all coming from Pinterest, but it's definitely helping.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I love that you said that. I think there's a lot of experts that will say, like, stop throwing spaghetti at the wall. But that would imply that you have to start at that point, too. In some of the coaching I do for social media for people, it's like, I know it feels like we're just playing, but we kind of are. Like, you have to experiment. You have to be willing to fail and make a ton of mistakes or just not really know the answer yet. And that's what's going to guide you to what does work. So I love that. And I think it's really important that people understand not to put so much weight in any marketing platform, kind of going back to what we said in the beginning. There's so many different pieces to start evaluating on, like, why isn't this working? Is it the product? Is it the keywords that I selected and all of those things? And it can be really daunting and overwhelming. But if you just start with each incremental thing and just improve that. I love that you mentioned your client that has done this a while. Now she's pretty well versed on Pinterest. It's just been the marketing has probably helped inform even some of the offer and product creation, and they all work together beautifully. So
Yeah.
as you're creating these pins and you're thinking about that, I have this customer journey, even if it is like a physical product, we want to meet people on different levels of awareness, understanding, desire. Are you creating pins differently for each one of those stages? Or is it pretty much like, I mean, obviously I know the text is going to be different. The keywords are going to be slightly different. Anything in the imagery that we should consider, or does that really not matter as much?
I don't pay as much attention as a content creator to the imagery. I use a lot of brand photos.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing a how-to article on making Pinterest pins or using Pinterest trends or whatever, oftentimes I'll use screenshots of what I'm actually working on. And because I'm such a like start to finish creator, I actually do the thing that I'm going to teach you to do. Test it, vet it, make sure it's going to work, and then work on that for a while before I go and teach on this topic. And then eventually I come back around and I'll create content on this. So as I'm doing that, or as I'm putting together like a strategy for somebody, I take process photos, and these are screenshots for me. So I'll screenshot Canva, I'll screenshot the scheduling tool or Pinterest or my website or whatever. And I use those a lot. And I just, as a content creator and educator, I don't hyper focus on the imagery as much because it's the words that are doing most of the work.
Got it. So even though it's a visual platform, it's really the words, the keywords, all the things that you're putting behind that image, because it's kind of like the last thing. I'm trying to compare it to like a dating profile, but usually you see the photo first. But at the same time, you're only seeing a representation of people who matched initially with what you were putting in as far as information. And so then it is kind of like the final decision making. Like, do I feel like this person is somebody I want to go out with? I've never even been on a dating platform where you swipe, but
Me neither.
I think that's how it works. So yeah, you need to put in the data that's telling the searcher this is what you're potentially looking for. And then the image really is it's the last indicator of success. So if you are looking at tweaking pins, if you're looking at trying to optimize them, probably don't get too caught up in like over creation and trying to make it the most fancy. That's probably on the bottom level priority. Is that what you would kind of agree with?
Yeah. Honestly, focus on your keywords. Make sure your templates are like really clean and easy to read. If anyone wants to look at what like an ideal Pinterest image should look like as a content creator, visit my Pinterest profile. I don't make the most beautiful pins or most professional pins or whatever in the world. My designer client would probably cringe at my pins, but they work.
They get the job done.
They do get the job done, and I'm okay with it. So just take a look at mine. You'll notice I prioritize the words, and the imagery kind of comes second. So, yeah.
Is consistency with branding on Pinterest important? Like, do you want someone to know if they've gotten a lead magnet that you're the same person that they're now seeing like maybe a digital product offer for?
Yes and no. There is some freedom and flexibility here with Pinterest to try things out and see what works. I've leaned more heavily into consistency with branding on Pinterest again. So I started that way. I kind of deviated from it in, the middle years of my business. And now I'm kind of getting back to it. Simply because it is like an image recognition thing. So if someone sees one thing of yours that they really loved and they clicked on it, then the engagement algorithm actually works to show people more of your content based on that activity. So you're really taking advantage of the engagement algorithm and like the memory, if they remember you in that case.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not necessarily like because we want to have a really pretty feed, because people aren't necessarily coming and like binging your Pinterest boards. That's just continuity for them to say, oh, wait, I've seen this before. I've seen similar pins. Now it's kind of building this recognition in my brain. So talk to me a little bit about the engagement algorithm, because I think that's newer on all platforms. And I think TikTok maybe did a lot to pioneer that, where social media has become more interest-based. And I don't even have to follow someone. If I watch their video for a minute, I'm going to see more of their videos until I essentially like don't watch their videos anymore. So speak to that, because if you're getting them on the right interest and they're actually engaging with your pin or clicking through, you're saying it's more likely they're going to see future pins.
It is, yes. So there's multiple levels to the engagement algorithm. You do not need followers in order for people to see your content consistently. That is a huge benefit to Pinterest. Engagement works on Pinterest so you publish a pin, they're not following you, they click on your pin. The close-up on the pin where they see it bigger on their screen, that's an engagement called a pin click. That one little engagement is like one little mark in the positive column. If they do nothing else, they're still going to start to see more of your content in their home feed and in their related feeds. However, if they go on to do any number of other engagements, like putting a heart on the pin so that you can like pins these days, if they comment, if they save that pin, if they send that pin to a friend, if they click on the pin and go to your website, all of those actions start to add up in that positive column. So it amplifies. So they're going to see like a sprinkling of stuff if they do just like one little pin click. If they pin click and save, they're going to see just a little bit more. If they pin click, they save, and they outbound click, they're going to start seeing even more. So it's like a wildfire that just continues to grow. So engagement does matter on Pinterest to some extent, but it's not like you don't have to have a ton of engagement in order to be found because of the search part.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So really, if you can nail some good pieces, like it's going to carry some of your other ones. And that's why you constantly want to be putting out new stuff. You said Pinterest is like full funnel platform. Does it have you actually seen, I mean, I know it's impossible to know necessarily perfectly from a consumer standpoint, but will it even be so intelligent as to understand what your business approach is? Like that, okay, this is their lead magnet. Now let's see how they're going to perform sending them to another thing. Do you think it's that intelligent to naturally flow them through?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to have a good variety for all the stages though, just in the hope that they're going to see multiple pieces and the next thing they see might be a pin that's sending them right to the product or a pin that's sending them right to your offer, something like that. Okay.
So if they search for something and then they see your pin and they click on it or they engage with it, then the engagement algorithm picks up from the search algorithm. No, I don't think it's as smart as like, oh, okay, let's feed them the next thing in the funnel. It's just not set up that way.
That would be amazing.
But Pinterest did a discoverability webinar for the educators, the 6 of us, recently. And one of the things that was in there is like the more your pins get engagement. So it can be the likes, it can be the comments, it can be the shares, which are not measured, by the way, in the analytics dashboard. Or if they get pin clicks, saves, or outbound clicks, then which those 3 are measured in the analytics overview, any 6 of those engagements helps your pin to continue to be seen and served. If they don't get engagements and they die off, then Pinterest will stop serving them. So this is kind of where you're parking your content on the platform for the long term for the search algorithm to pick up that content at any point in time when someone searches for it. But the engagement algorithm will not continue to serve your content if it doesn't do well. So you really need both sides. If you're going to do Pinterest and you're going to do it well, you really should have the search part unlocked for yourself.
Got it.
That way the engagement algorithm can do its work when that time comes.
Okay, cool. So you're not even saying like initially if you post something, it doesn't really get searched, it doesn't come up for a little while, but maybe 3 months down the line, somebody searches, it gets shown. If it shows up, they don't click it, it's probably not likely going to get shown again. I mean, it's not just basing it on one person, but just as an example. But if it gets engaged with, it's most likely to show up again and again, even not just for that person, but for more people as they search the terms that made it come up in the first place. So it's kind of working together.
Yes. Yes, and one of your original points was if it gets searched and no one engages with it, it might come up again. It'll still come up again because of the search. So pins get indexed, and depending on engagement, they rise in the search results. At some point, your pin is going to be in the feed. How high up it is obviously a big, what if, right? So it will be placed in the search results. Now, if you pin something and 6 years from now, it's still active on your website and someone comes along and they click on that pin, which happens every day, by the way, then it starts getting engagement. Pinterest starts sharing it again. Like, it's not, the end of the life cycle does not end just because it did not get reach or engagement in 24 hours. If it gets engagement at any point, it can pick back up and keep going. And this was a question that was asked in the training for us. One of my colleagues asked that exact question. Does it matter when the pin was published? And they said, does not matter.
Yeah. So it's just like any platform, you want to be building that library, like just have as many options as you can with it being pulled up.
By the way, Pinterest is a platform. This is kind of a phrase that I coined years ago. It's a platform where you can park your content and it can always be found. Whether you're still doing the same thing years from now or not, I don't really know, and nor do I care to have that conversation until the time comes that you need to change things up. But people can find your content for years. And when I said that happens every day, it truly does. I have a pin in my top pins right now for the last 30 days. That's from 2020.
Wow.
And it is really ugly. It's my old branding. I don't even talk about ads much anymore. It's an ad pin. But it's popped back up in my top pins and someone had saved it and then Pinterest started sharing it and here we go again. So
wow. It's amazing how that works. Absolutely. Park as many cars as you can on the Pinterest parking lot and just let it do the work for you. And that's good to know too, because it is such a long, like there's such longevity with it. It's not like traditional social media where it's going to get pushed out. I even think social media has changed in this way too. Like I mentioned to you before the call, I have a TikTok where I'm like, hey, I don't know much about Pinterest, but here's what I do know. And that video, I get notified every single day that somebody has liked it. It was 2.5 years ago. So I know that this is happening. It's a different way that people are getting information to pull up. And so that being said, don't get discouraged if it's not like an immediate takeoff. I've had so many pieces of content, so many pins that they seem like they're dead in the water. And then years later, it's like, what in the world? I guess somebody decided to wake up today and my pin was just what they needed. And it's crazy how it changes. So amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. You have gone in so much depth and really covered the whole topic so well. I know there's so much more that people can learn from you. If they're interested in this, they can go binge your YouTube channel, follow your Pinterest. We'll link to all of that in the show notes. Is there anywhere just verbally you want to send anyone who's listening right now?
Just heatherfarris.com, and it's Farris, not like Ferris Bueller. Everything for me is there. You can find YouTube, you can find blogs, whatever you want for Pinterest. It's on my website. Come and see me. And I'm also on Instagram if anyone just wants to have a chat about Pinterest and the viability for the business. My DMs are open, and it's me. Just come have a chat with me. I'm always willing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that you did with us today. And we'll make sure everybody goes there. You guys, Pinterest is not something to be slept on. So thanks for reminding us what a powerful platform that it could be.
Thanks, Kirsten, for having me.
Thank you so much, Heather. There was so much good, juicy stuff that she had to share with us today. This might have just piqued your interest and made you realize that there's so much more you could be doing to market your business, especially if you have products or services that could really be conveyed very well visually. So thank you again for Heather, for our show sponsors, for making this educational episode possible. My friends, keep having fun with learning how to market and sell more effectively in your business. I hope this episode drove some of those concepts home for you today. Until next time, class dismissed.